So we have a super gene within our humanity that allows us to operate at our highest potential when we're focused on saving somebody else. And so you have to be connected emotionally, physically, and within your purpose to who you're going to go out and save. And sales allows you to have a vehicle to go out and save people, meaning that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they're not going to get the solution they need, and they're going to continue dealing with the life that they have. Sales is the highest form of love, is because you're literally putting everything aside and focus on serving. And that's the highest level of motivation, which is your purpose.
What's up, Ultimate Closers? Just got off an awesome episode with Adam Flores. It was great to dive in with him and unpack his experiences as an entrepreneur, a sales master, and just a life liver. And it's really cool to see the topics that we talked about. We got super mechanical and strategic, but we also got high level and really understood things from like your why and all these other powerful topics. So I'm super excited for you guys to go through this and derive things that you can take action on. But before you do, make sure that you are liking, you are sharing, you are commenting, and that you are subscribing so I can bring some more powerful things to you. But without further ado, let's get into the show. I'm Oliver Wolf, your heart-centered master sales coach and pack leader from the Wolf Syndicate Coaching, helping entrepreneurs increase their closing ratio by 10 to 35% permanently. And now I want to welcome you to another episode of the Ultimate Closer Show, where I take awesome closers out of their productive days to invest their time into you. And so together we'll talk about sales theories, philosophies, as well as actionable strategies, tips, and methods to make sure that you're closing more deals and winning at life. And so today on our show, we have another powerful guest. His name is Adam Flores. Adam is the CEO of the Business Club Academy. And so he's a young revolutionary leader in business. For many years, he struggled to get his message and business ideas out into the world. His frustration led him to become a radical student in leadership, social media, and internet marketing. His ability to combine the best fundamental principles in each category paved the way for Adam to build his business beyond $1 million in sales. Although he's had a lot of success, it wasn't enough for Adam. His genuine passion and charisma to see people and organizations win in the marketplace has been his driving force to become an expert in his craft. He now spends his time consulting for individuals, businesses, and organizations across the country. Now, on a more personal level, I've actually known, this is the first time that Adam and I really interact, at least face to face. So I've known him because I joined the Superhero Academy, his business, the Business Club Academy, and it really helped me get to the next level with my coaching business because I was having difficulty with generating leads and such. And so although I never got to directly speak with him, I got a lot of his coaching and his mentorship and all that. And what I can see about him is that he is someone who really, and I mean really cares about mastering what he does, right? So people throw around the word expert and they kind of just like, people call themselves masters and experts. Adam is really someone who has like invested the blood, sweat, and tears into really becoming an expert at what he does. So I'm super excited to have him on the episode here. Super excited to finally get to know you here. So Adam, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to share some of the best closing secrets to add value to your community. So I'm pumped.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot to go through. So I'm really excited to dive into this. And so one of the first things I like to start with every single one of the people on the show, because I think it's one of the most important things, is really what has been one of the greatest failures that you've had, and how did you feel as you were going through it? How did you make it through? And then what's sort of the lesson that you could derive from it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the biggest failures that I had is, I had worked really hard to build a direct sales business. And I got to the point where I became the poster child of that company, but they wouldn't let me have my own brand and they wouldn't let me have my own platform to unlock my potential. And so they had to control all of my websites and all that had to be approved by the company and all this stuff. So I'd worked so many years to become successful in this company, and then only for them to control my ability to get my message out to the world. So I actually had to leave that. And I went from a very beautiful lifestyle to starting completely from scratch. And that's the time I met my wife, Brianna, which at at that time she was my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And so she met me as a hero and we started dating and I went down to zero, like in my mom's house, like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to just start a coaching business and like not knowing how I was going to even survive. So that was a really tough time. So what I began doing is I dove in and I got to the point where I ran out of savings. I was down to my last $2,000. I hired this coach from Australia who had built $1 million coaching business and he showed me how to scale it. And so I literally went from scratch to ramping up past multiple six figures. And through my group programs, that led to live events. Live events led to masterminds. We ended up creating online courses, membership sites. Fast forward to today, we have 2 companies, 12 employees, 40 sales reps. And I literally like got the wind knocked out of me 5.5 years ago and had to climb out of it. So, it's sometimes you gotta have, it's like the eagle that has to strip its wings. The eagle story. Have you heard of that before?
I actually haven't heard this one, so I'm super curious. I'm like, there's eagles all over the place in my life. One of my mentors is all about eagles. My roommate, his spirit animal is an eagle. So I'd love to hear this eagle story.
Wow. That's really cool. So with, and by the way, God only compares himself to 2 animals throughout the whole Bible. It's an eagle and it's a lion.
Interesting.
So, anyhow, the separate tangent. So an eagle, 40 years, once an eagle hits 40 years, its beak becomes dull and its feathers start to get weighed down so it can't really fly anymore. And then also the talons become so weak that it can't grab prey anymore. And so what the eagle has to do is it actually has to knock off its beak. And it's one of the most painful processes. And if an eagle doesn't do this, it will die at 40 years. So it has to make the decision, do I die or do I live? So it knocks off its beak. Once its beak gets knocked off, it grows back sharper. Then it has to take off all of its feathers on its body so that the feathers can grow back new. And it has to rip out the talons so that the talons can grow back and become stronger. And if an eagle goes through that process, an eagle will live another 40 years.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never heard of that whatsoever. I'm super excited to tell my roommate about that.
Yeah. And so that was my eagle moment in my life where it's like I worked so hard for so many years. And then it's like I had to start all over and it gave me new life again. So if somebody's watching this and they're at a phase of their life where they're just like, man, I've come so far, but I got to maybe get a fresh start or reset. It's sometimes the most painful thing, but it gives you new life. So.
Yeah, I had a very, very similar story. I was actually a coach within an organization and similar thing. My creativity was very capped and limited and I wasn't building my own personal brand. I was building theirs. And I had to make the tough decision of leaving that role and leaving like a lot of people that were counting on me to really like live up to what my potential could be and so on. And that was an incredible move. And so on that, I want to even take that a little bit deeper. So you said like that you have to move back in with your mom, right? And I think that's like people hear that story, right? And they can't, like when they hear it, the person who's saying it doesn't usually make it relatable. So I'd love to go into like, how did it like feel to actually realize that you came to that decision? And then how did you move through that feeling? Because again, as I'm sure you would probably concur, is if you're feeling like doing nothing, you're going to do nothing. So it's probably really easy to like fall into that nothingness in that situation. So how did you move through that pain? What was the feeling and how did you move through it?
Yeah. So what it was is it actually, it tapped into my survival instinct and everybody has it. You get to a point where you hit survival and it's a very powerful force to get drive from. However, working out of survival isn't healthy for long periods of time. And it's not the healthiest driver because it's ultimately fear that's motivating you. You're scared to stay stuck. You're scared to stay broke. You're scared to fail. And so you're working so hard to climb out of your biggest fear, which is ultimately not seeing your dreams come true. And then you end up living an average and mediocre life. And so I had to be able to leverage that. But then you get to a place where if you don't adjust your motivation to come from a healthier place, then you get burnt out. And so I had to learn how to become motivated by the love of what I do and more towards my aspirations of impact and being able to make a difference in the world and letting that pull me versus trying to run away from my biggest fears. And so, pain is not something that you're supposed to use as your driver forever. You're supposed to get healing from it and then being able to operate out of a healthy place so you can have sustainable success. And so that was a whole internal transformation I had to go through as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So one of the things you mentioned, right, is right now you've got a business, you got 40 sales reps, which inherently means you must be good at sales, right? So I'd love to let's dive into sales a little bit, start unpacking that subject. Starting super broad. How do you define sales? What is sales?
Yeah. To me, sales is the highest form of love in business.
I love that. I've not heard that before.
Yes. And so here's the thing. I've studied this a lot. The number one thing around sales is one of the scariest things to do inside of a business, because you open up yourself to a lot of different fears: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of unworthiness, like fear of not succeeding. There's all the fears wrapped up in sales. And so I see a lot of people try and teach how to break past fear, like do mantras or, pump yourself up, get in state, all of these things. But they work for moments, but very few are sustainable. So what I found is that the only way there's something called the domino effect. And the domino effect is if you focus, like imagine a series of dominoes lined up, right? If you knock down one domino, then one domino can fall over. But if you knock down the front domino, all of the dominoes fall just from knocking down that one. So there's a focus point where it knocks down all the fears in one focus point. And that focus point is serving. So let me give you an example. If I told you, Oliver, I want you to go give a homeless man outside a bite to eat. Take this sandwich and give it to him. Would you be afraid of rejection?
No, definitely not.
No, you wouldn't even think about it. You're just like, here, I want to give you this bite to eat, right? But if I tell you, Oliver, go ask that man outside for money, you'd be like, whoa, like, you might think I'm a weirdo. Like, he's going to ask me, why do I want money? Like, what if he tells me no, Yeah. So we begin to think internally of what others are going to think. So in service, it's a form of kindness, and kindness is a form of love. And in love, in perfect love, there is no fear. It cannot exist. So love is the only thing in the world. It's the big domino that if you can operate out of, fear cannot exist inside of love at the same time. And so when I'm working with a client, how this translates into sales, my only goal is to serve them and make them feel special. That's my only goal on a sales call. I want them to feel radically special, and I want them to feel loved. So I win every call. If I make a sale or I don't, as long as they felt special, valued, heard, understood, and loved, then I win on that call, right? Yes. And I'm not having fear, because when you're operating out of love, fear can't exist.
Yeah.
So that's the highest form. So I think sales is the highest form of love, because you're putting your egos aside. You're putting all of your fears aside to truly listen and understand what somebody's problem is, and then saying, hey, I have a solution for you, and I would give it to you for free if I could, but because of the resources it takes and because of our mission, we have to exchange a dollar amount to give you this value.
And that's what I was going to go towards. It's like, you need the energetic exchange too. Like there's just an inherent feeling of disconnect when someone gets something from you and doesn't give you anything in return. Like there's just this weird disconnect. It doesn't work. So it's like, it's not seeing it as like, I'm taking money from you so I can give you this. It's like, we're creating an energetic exchange. We're creating an exchange here of equal value to each of us individually. But in your case, this knowledge or whatever it is, this experience, this product, service, whatever, is of more value to you than the money you're giving to me. And in this moment, the money you're giving to me is of more value to me than that. So it's this beautiful energetic exchange. So I really love where you went with that. That was super interesting. I've not heard it that way. And I love, because it comes back to that more sort of esoteric topic that, everything is love is everything. And we're not going to get into that whole topic for sure, but I feel like that's something that probably resonates with you all day long.
Yeah. And it also shapes sales culture, right? So as if you're listening to this and you're building a sales team, or you want to build a sales team one day, culture is a big part of that. And so when I talk to my team, it's not, hey, how many sales did you make today? How many leads did you make today? It's how many people did you make feel special today? What's your special count? I can correlate, okay, you made this many people feel special today, well, then you're probably going to have a good paycheck following. If you didn't make a lot of people feel special today, your paycheck's probably going to drop, And so when our sales team hits the ground, their focus is, who am I going to make feel special today? And that alters the way that you start your day. Most sales trainers, they don't do that. They say, how many leads did you generate? How many sales did you?
Yeah, it's fully mechanical. There's no emotion.
Totally.
It's just you turn into like some machine, and like nobody likes being treated like a machine. Nobody is a machine.
Right, exactly. And so there's 3 levels of motivation that are so important to understand when it comes to the drive that gets you to light your soul on fire to make sales. Number 1 is money and things. People are driven by money and things. They want to have nice cars. They want to have the rings. They want to have the nice vacations. Yeah, the bling. They want to be able to get the incentives and hit the latest promotions. We all have that innate drive to be able to have cool stuff in life. But it's the shallowest of all motivations, and it doesn't often last. The second one is to be significant, to want to be able to show to yourself that you can accomplish something, to be able to prove to your family and everybody else who didn't believe in you that you can accomplish something, to show the world and that you're amazing, that you can shut up all of your haters and be able to have that excitement of like, hey, I accomplished something. So that's significance. It's a very ego-driven motivation, very powerful motivation, but it's not the highest level. The third level of motivation is purpose.
Yes.
And purpose is the why, right? The why, the bigger impact. But the why has been taught all wrong. Everyone says you must know your why, right? You heard that before.
Of course,
right?
Yeah. I mean, like now it's almost like standard these days, like the whole why thing. And I think I know where you can see where you're going. I'm excited about this, but it's like, because it's become such a popular topic, it inherently means it's getting like diluted. It's getting infused with different things and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this right here.
Yeah. So the why's been taught all wrong. What they do is say, you must know your why. So what do people do? They write down, okay, I want to have a big house. I want to be able to retire my parents. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. And so the thing is, though, is personal goals have very little power because people begin to operate out of the shallowest motivations. So the why is not, it's not the why's been taught wrong because they're getting you to focus on yourself. The why that's powerful is why others need you. That's the why that you need to know. Why others need you, not why you want to be successful. That doesn't have power. Why others need you. So if you look at humanity, the way that you unlock human potential is a fireman is a great example. A fireman completely puts his entire life in jeopardy. Why? Because he's going to go save somebody else. He's not thinking about himself. He's not thinking about what if I die? He's focused on serving, which is the highest form of love, which we talked about, right? You look at a mom, if her kid is trapped under a car. Oh yeah, no question. Has the ability to lift the car in that moment that otherwise she could not have the strength to lift that car, right? So we have a super gene within our humanity that allows us to operate at our highest potential when we're focused on saving somebody else. And so you have to be connected emotionally, physically, and within your purpose to who you're going to go out and save. And sales allows you to have a vehicle to go out and save people, meaning that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they're not going to get the solution they need, and they're going to continue dealing with the life that they have. Yes. And that's what I mean. Yeah. And this is what I mean when I say that sales is the highest form of love, is because you're literally, there we go. Because sales is literally, putting everything aside and focus on serving. And that's the highest level of motivation, which is your purpose.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I like talking about that subject too, where it's like people have this weird feeling around sales, right? Like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be all these kinds of different things. And then it's the fact that by you not properly, showing up to best serve your prospect, you are taking away from them, because your offer could have changed their life, transformed their life, made them better, made them stronger, whatever it is. And so for every time that you don't step up and really own yourself, own your shit, all that kind of stuff, and move through what you need to move through such that you can best present yourself for that prospect, then if you don't do any of that, then you're straight up taking away from them. You're completely stealing from them.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But I really love what you're saying about the why. This is something else too that I talked about, which is, I'm sure you've heard of with them, right? What's in it for me sort of thing. And so I like to think of it more as what's in it for you, for like FU, but as in what's in it for us, in the sense that like you need to think in terms of what does your prospect, not just what's in it for them, but what's in it for their circle, their environment, their people, like everything that surrounds them. Because that's what's really important now. And people are trying to step into this more and more, is that, like you said, it's not just about me. It's not just my goals. It's about how do I impact the people around me. So even as salespeople, we need to identify who's their people and how do we serve them and their people as a result of my offering.
Right. Exactly. That's right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man. No, I'm loving this. This is super fun. So I guess some other, like, if we want to get a little bit more mechanical, because I'm sure some people are thinking like, okay, this is really cool and I'm feeling energized, but what's some like, maybe strategies and whatnot? Do you have like a couple like mechanical, like cool sort of, again, strategies, methods, whatever?
Absolutely. And I'm a huge strategist, by the way. I think laying the foundation is key. And there's one thing I want to just add that before we get into strategy, because I'm a big strategist, I want to spend some time there. But this is really going to, I hope somebody can get set free in this, what I'm about to share. And very few people, when I say set free, meaning that you've been struggling with this maybe for a while and it's been a burden to you. And I just want to be able to release a burden to anybody listening. Abundance and lack exist in the same realm. Abundance and lack exist in the same realm, which means that sometimes when you're in sales and you're feeling like, man, like I just can't get ahead. I just can't get my breakthrough. Like it's just like I make money and then it goes out the window and then I have to sell all over again. And then I make more money and it's gone again. It's because abundance and lack exist in the same realm. And what a poverty mentality is it's when you focus on what you lack, right? And an abundance mentality is focused on what you already have. This will follow you your entire sales journey. You can get to the point where you're making $8,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, $20,000 a month, feeling the exact same way. Totally. Like, man, I just don't understand why I keep grinding. I keep making my calls. I keep making sales, but I'm just not seeing that breakthrough. That will never leave you at any stage, no matter how much money you're making, because we have months over $150,000 a month. And and I still have to guard my mindset because there's so many things I want to do. I want to get this big office building with all these cool Google installs and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, it's going to cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this build out. And so your vision stretches with your income. And so abundance and lack exist together, right? So with that said, you have to control your focus. That's all you have control over in your sales, in your mentality. Am I going to focus on what I already have and what's in front of me, or am I going to focus on what I'm missing? If you focus on what you're missing, you will have what they call a poverty mentality, and it will rob your energy. It will rob you of life. It will rob you of your potential. You have to focus on what you already have, and that is
create that victim mentality.
Right, exactly. But I think people are trying to get rid of the lack, and so they try and get into abundance. But you cannot get rid of lack. Lack coexists with abundance. So accept that lack will always be there. You're just controlling your focus point.
Gotcha. Very interesting. And naturally, I'm going to have to ask to go a little bit deeper in that. It's like, okay, how now, again, I'm in that moment right now. I'm feeling some lack coming up and such. How do I actively move through that and back into abundance? What are some maybe tips, strategies, or things you can do?
Yeah. So imagine the two coexisting together like this, right? They coexist together. And there's this little radar that's just going back and forth. Am I going to focus on lack, or am I going to focus on abundance? The way you control the mindset, this bar, to stay in the abundance area is by changing the questions that you ask yourself, because the questions you ask yourself change your focus point. So it's, okay, what do I have right now? Okay, I do have a sales script. What do I have? I do have social media. What do I have right now? I have a great product or service to promote. What do I have right now? I have a great mentor, coach showing me what to do, and accountability there. So you start to look at everything you have and realize, man, I am wealthy, because wealthy is resources. It's access to resources. That's what wealth is. Resources
and resourceful.
Yes, exactly. And so poverty is a lack of access to resources. That's what that is. And so we're just opening up our mind to focus on the resources in front of us. And when we're able to get that focus point, it unlocks our ability to break out of fear and into what we have and out of abundance. And then that overflows into everything we do. It allows our energy to unfold. It allows our sustainability, our persistence, the way we show up on calls, and that compounds because most of sales is nonverbal communication, right?
Of course.
So that all leaks into what you do. So if you're on this call and you've been dealing with lack, don't try and get rid of it. It always is going to be there. All you have to do is just switch your focus to what you have and keep your focus in that place.
Very cool. That's such a good topic, because that's actually something that I'm putting into the online course that I'll be launching soon. I'm doing a whole class just on money mindset, right? And that'll be a huge part of it, right? Like, it's super, super important, especially because if you have a money lacking mindset, you will impose that and imprint that onto your prospect. And you'll think that, and you'll inherently and subconsciously assume that they have that same thing. So then you'll start to project your paradigms onto them. And again, like, not be able to actually make the sale because you think that they don't have the money, or they're lacking, or they're struggling bill to bill, or whatever, even though that might just be you and you're not owning that. So. Right.
Exactly. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool, man. So, okay. Yeah. So strategies, tips, fun stuff like that.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. So one of the key strategies that allow you to make more sales is the speed of trust. Okay. And the speed of trust is the ability to collapse timeframes in a conversation to gain trust with the person that you're talking to. And so in order to gain somebody's trust, you have to understand the truth behind why they are buying or why they're not buying. And that's ultimately all you're doing on a sales call. You're trying to figure out the truth. What is it that they want? Is it really what they want? How bad do they want it? And if they don't want to buy it, why don't they want to buy it? What's holding them back so you can get them to buy it, if that makes sense. So all we're trying to do is get to the truth. And so what happens, though, a lot of times in sales is when you ask us, I want to think about it. Or I want to, can I get back to you, right? A lot of rookie sales reps will say, well, why do you want to think about it? What's holding you back? And so they create tension in the environment.
Totally. It's like it feels wrong. It's like they're saying that's wrong.
Right. Exactly. It creates a tension, and then it breaks trust. That tension breaks trust. So the key is when they're throwing the objection at you, you actually use that as a way to create trust. So for example, I say, you know what? I really just want to think about it, Oliver. Your program's really great. I just want to think about it. So then what we do is we take that objection and say, hey, you know what? I think that's great that you want to think about it. That's wonderful. That means that you're a person, you like to think through things. The only thing is, Oliver, it's called a safe transparency box. And I want to create this in the call. You know what, Oliver? I'm a very open and transparent kind of person. And I'm very open and honest, Is it a financial thing that may be holding you back from moving forward? And at that point, it just cuts right through all the BS. And you'll hear it. You know what? Honestly, it's a financial thing. I'm really tight right now. I don't get my paycheck till Friday. So, I have to be able to think about, how I'm going to do this, because right now, financially, I can't afford it. So now the real truth. The truth is money. So now you can focus on what they call isolating that objection and focusing on just that. It's like, well, Oliver, I understand that, money's, tight right now. What if I were to work out something really special for you? My program is $2,000, but rather than do maybe it all up front, what if I were to extend the payment plan for you to be able to make it work? If I can do that, would you be willing to get started? Well, yeah, if we could break it up into, 4 payments of $500, yeah, that would definitely work for me. I could do it. Okay, great. Awesome. I'm excited to work together. You excited to work together? Yes. Boom. So literally within minutes, you can go from, I want to think about it, to closing a deal, because there's the safe transparency box that allows you to gives you the environment permission to get to the truth. And then you can solve the problem faster.
So very cool. Like, and I love it. It's kind of like what I like to call leading with authenticity. is sort of what you're saying as well, right? It's just like, just being like brutally authentic and in a nice way, of course, but like just lead with that authenticity, because that's what everybody wants, right? Authenticity is the true way for everyone to feel heard. And when everyone feels heard, everyone feels loved. And so one of the things that I'm wondering is, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but so you said like you're in your example, you went to the money, right? And I'm wondering like, how would you know to go to money if maybe it's something else? Like, how do you know which transparency direction to go? Do you have a certain way? Or?
Yeah. The reason why is I already know before the call that 7 out of 10 Americans are in debt. So that means that 7 out of 10 people you talk to already don't have the money before you even start selling, right? So 7 out of 10 times it's already the money. So that's almost always what the objection is going to be. So
there's already like some statistical proof, but I'm sure there's more to it. So
Right. Yeah. Something like the average American has less than like $1,000 in their bank account. It's crazy. So knowing that you're dealing with already a small margin, right, to work with. And so at that point, you have to be able to know that. So you know that when they're throwing something at you, it's most likely a money problem. So the whole, can I think about it? Or, you know what, this sounds great. Can you send me information? All those are reasons for why they people don't want to say I don't have money. It's a shameful thing to admit. It's an embarrassing thing to admit. So
that's
people
the thing I was going to allude to, is that there's like, unfortunately, there's a connection between like ego and money, right? Self-worth and money in the bank. And like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So it becomes a very sensitive topic. And it's kind of unfortunate, because if we were much more open and transparent about what our financial situations were, then more people would seek to support. Right. Because
Absolutely.
when you actually express your troubles and turbulations, the people that love you, what's the first thing they do? They put their hand on your shoulder. They offer you a hand. They do something, right? But then when it comes to money, people are so closed off about wanting to actually express and present the fact that, you know what, hey, I'm struggling and I could use some support.
Absolutely.
And so, and then and again, it comes up in the sales call, because again, your intention is not to take their money, right? Your intention is to create a situation, a solution that will allow them to afford what you and them both know is what they need.
Correct.
To move forward. Right. And so you need to create that really powerful trust, that of like a very close friendship and so on and so forth. Again, the transparency container, all those kinds of things, that they can feel comfortable speaking of their struggles and tribulations around money, such that you can then put your hand out in support.
Exactly. And you're creating a safe environment. And this is something that a lot of sales reps have a hard time doing, because they've been taught wrong. They've been taught that you have to be able to, assess them. Like, well, why can you not afford it? Well, didn't you tell me that in the beginning of the call, you really wanted this, and now you're telling me you can't afford it? Well, then you must not really want it, because if you really wanted it, you would really find a way to do it. And so then that's how traditional sales is taught. And so it eliminates a safe place for people to be honest and vulnerable, because you take their vulnerability in the beginning of the call that they told you they wanted, and then you use it against them. So in their mind, it's no longer safe to communicate with you.
I love that. That's actually super solid of an example, because I've seen that. I've heard of that. I've even tried it, right? And there's some times where it kind of works, but even as you're doing it, there's kind of like, there's a bit of resistance in yourself doing it. Like some people will justify it by saying you're calling them forward, but there's also this sense of like, you are kind of backing them into a corner, right? You're like, oh, you're using my word against me. Like, oh shit, and it's not really comfortable at all for either of you. It's kind of like bullying.
Literally. And that's how buyer's remorse and chargebacks are created. Because they're personality types where they try to, what they call alpha sales. And alpha sales is about using dominance and influence to get someone to buy something. And so when you do that, then you can get someone to make a decision, but that doesn't mean it's a decision that they want to stick with. So you can get cancellations, chargebacks, which affect your merchant accounts, which affects your reputation, which affects, how they feel about your product, how they feel about your brand. And so, but if you can just create a safe transparency box, you can not only get a result, but get it faster and make them feel like, wow, that felt great. And that it creates an emotional connection to your brand, which then allows them to feel safe to stay.
Yes. And I love that, because one of the lines that I like to say is basically, when the sales is done properly, everybody wins. Right. Yes, it's like, it's really something to keep in mind. It's like, how can you make sure that everybody wins, both me, you, and the planet? And you keep that in mind with what your intentions are. And, and you won't do that by backing someone in a corner, because there's just that inherent thing of like, I feel like I'm taking from you right now.
Yes, yes. Now there are a couple other closes I want to go over. One is called the alignment close. Okay? And very few people,
close?
Yeah, very few people know about this.
Okay.
So, so this is really cool. So when somebody says, I want to get started 2 weeks from now, how about that? And you say, I get it, Oliver, that's really great. This works great, especially if you're selling to like an entrepreneur, somebody who understands business. This is a great close.
For sure.
Say, hey, Oliver, have you ever been in a place where you were offering like a product or service to one of your clients and you know that they needed it, but then they told you, oh, I want to wait before I get started? Is that how you want customers to buy from you, or would you rather them buy it right then and there? And so then you'll answer, say, I want them to buy it right then and there.
Of course.
Right? And so then you say, well, hey,
you become relatable to the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you want people to buy from you on the spot, but then when it comes to you buying, you don't want to buy on the spot. And so in order for us to be able to operate out of integrity and operate out of alignment, we have to do what we expect of others before we can expect that of them. And so if you want your clients and customers to be able to pay you on the spot, then you have to be willing to do the same thing, or else you operate out of alignment. Does that make sense? And they'll say, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's do it. It's like, let's do it. So you hold them accountable to the way that they want to live their life. And you're saying, look, you can't expect that of your clients if you're not willing to do that with yourself.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
that comes back to sort of an energetic exchange thing again, right? It's like, if you're looking for that exchange somewhere else, you can't like not then reproduce it or do it again with someone else in the opposite direction. Like there needs to be a flow of that energy. So
exactly. That's right.
Cool.
That's right. Now the other close, and this is great if you're selling like online products, or if you're selling coaching, or if you're selling something that has a variable rate at which you can adjust the price, if that makes sense. It won't work for like a tangible good. Like you can't discount, some a physical product because it actually has a value to it, versus a course. You gotta, you already built it. It's perceptual, right? So it's called the money combination close. And so the way this works is everybody in their mind has an amount that they're willing to spend with you. So knowing that 7 out of 10 times, they're going to have a financial objection, 7 out of 10 times. So what we have to be able to do is understand there's a combination. Even though they're struggling financially, even though they don't have money, there's still an amount that they're willing to spend with you. So it's our job to unlock that number, right? So kind of like, remember those locks in high school where you had to spin them to the right, spin them to the left, and you can unlock it. So the same thing is going when you're price fishing, right? So it's like, hey, Oliver, I know finances are really tight right now. I know you shared that with me. What if I were to do 4 payments of 500? Would that work for you? No, I still can't afford it. I have to think about it. Hey, you know what? What amount could you do if I were to give it to you at? Like, could you do like, 300 a month, 400 a month? And they don't want to answer that. They're going to say, I don't want to offend you. I see the value. I don't want to answer that.
I've had that.
People won't answer it. So you say, so then here's what you do. You say, okay, look, I want to do something for you I normally don't do. What if I were to give you the program for $250 a month? And so you went from $2,000 to $250 a month, right? Because people make decisions by what they put down and what they pay monthly, right?
Yep.
And then they go, yeah, I can do that, right? I can do that. Okay, great. So then what I'll do is, instead of doing it for 5 months, I'll just extend out the $250 a month for the next 9 months. And so you end up making $2,000 still. It's just spread out, and you put them on reoccurring billing, and it just goes every month.
Interesting.
So you're able to extend out the amount. And so now we have our clients that have been paying. They took an 8-week program, but they've been paying for the last 11 months, 12. So you start stacking your accounts. And so it's called the money combination close. Instead of just saying, no, sorry, you can't afford it. Well, I'll follow up with you. It's like, hey, what can they afford? Let's find that number, extend the payment plan. We have recurring billing through PayPal and Stripe. And let's just set them up on recurring billing. And if they cancel, they cancel. But the goal is to never leave a call without making a sale. So people don't realize the power of time. If you sell a $50 a month package that's normally, let's say, $1,000 on your website, for 12 months, you still made a $600 sale if all they can afford is $50 a month. But most people will say, you know what, you can't afford the 1,000, get back to me when you have the money. And they're letting so many people that they could be impacting let go because they want, the full amount up front. And you could be making so many more sales. So that works great with intangible services.
Yeah, for sure. Things that don't have like upfront costs and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Things that don't have an upfront cost. Yeah. So that's called the money combination. Works great. Yeah.
So then I'm curious actually, because that'll help for those kinds of people. But then for those who do have, and if you have an answer for that, those who do have like upfront cost or again, like what if like they're renovation workers, construction workers or whatever, do you have some kind of cool strategy for them as well that might be original or different?
Yeah, you mean as far as like collecting that money up front?
I guess just closing in general for them, or maybe even, maybe to do with collecting money for sure. Cause like you said, like, again, you said it yourself just now, 7 out of 10 people don't have the money. So that comes up very often. So how can they use some kind of strategy like that to get through the 7 out of 10?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's actually called the Monkeytail Close. And it's funny. It just, my mentors have taught me little closes, right?
Yeah, totally.
What it does is it just aims to get the client to focus on, or the prospect to focus on one thing to get the bigger thing. So for example, if someone can't afford something, it's a real problem. It's not an objection. It's a real problem. Like they don't have the money, right? So at that point, in order for them to afford the actual cost of it, there's only one solution. They have to borrow the money. That's it. That's the only solution. They have to borrow the money. So you have to get them on becoming resourceful. So the Monkeytail Close gets them to focus on just becoming resourceful. So you would say something like, Oliver, think about like, if we could just be able to maybe ask a friend or open up PayPal credit and open up free interest for 6 months. And we were able to dive in, like
creative financing pretty much.
Exactly. You're getting their mind on focus on creative financing. And so then you won't close on the spot right there because they literally don't have the money, but you can get them to close within the next few days or week, or they, get them thinking about how they can afford it. And that's the only way to handle that, because, if someone doesn't have money, they don't have money,
for sure.
Resourceful. Put it on a credit card, PayPal credit, or, ask a friend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that, because that kind of adds a layer to your expertise as a sales rep, or whatever you want to call yourself. Is you need to understand or start to learn about creative financing, so that you can actually come up and be like, hey, well, here's all these different options, and you could even, depending on how well you're doing in other areas, and maybe you want to move on to this point, is even have like JVs or some kind of partnership, or at least like an in for like how, like, hey, I have these guys who actually do this awesome kind of financing. They just do this percent. It's better than the bank, or it is with the bank or whatever, but actually have those resources ready for them almost. That would be an amazing strategy, especially if, like you're saying, you really are facing a lot of money objections. It's like, why not create an option for them instead of just
Like and PayPal credit is new technology, right? The ability to have 6 months with no interest, and you can just
that's very cool. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Like, then you just go create a PayPal account and get 6 months free interest. It's like, that's amazing.
Very cool. So, I'm writing that for me right there.
That's very cool. Creative financing. Yeah, very powerful.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I think we're pretty much coming to the end of the episode here. Do you, before I ask like one of my last questions, did you have any sort of quick tidbits you wanted to drop off?
Yeah. I think the key is when you're getting into the closing process, I think Bruce Lee said it best. It should feel like water, like the way water fills a cup. There's no resistance. And so that's the piece that typically breaks people, is the closing process with the objections. When they ask for the price, from that point forward, that's where people start getting, accepting people's objections. Like, okay, no worries, get back to me, I'll follow up. Or they get too confrontational, where they start challenging people too much. So just allowing them to come and utilizing their objections as a safe place to make them feel heard, and then becoming creative to be able to lead them to a solution. And they should feel loved and special at the end of the day, because most people may not buy from you right there in the moment, but if you make them feel special, they will pick up your calls in the future, because they will eventually come to the resources. And so if you really play the long game, that's how you can compound your success as a sales rep, is you're building a database, and everybody that you called, you made feel special. I guarantee you they're going to be willing to pick up your call next time you have something to say.
Yeah, I agree with that highly. I literally have gotten like a recommendation just out of a sales call that I didn't close. And he went on my Facebook
That's
and gave
good.
me a review. And it's like, sick. Right?
That's powerful. Yeah, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah,
It's like, that's
totally.
great. That's awesome.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, people are more likely to refer you. They like your brand, or they may buy, like, you may have a live event ticket one day that you want to
Right.
sell. It's a low offer.
Yeah,
They
some
buy,
kind of
they buy into
downsell or,
that.
mm,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah,
So
this is kind
always
of
treat
like on the
people well.
topic of one of my mentors. He talks about, he says, create, find your 1,000 true fans, or like true
Mhm.
fans, not your 10,000 followers or subscribers. Like find your 1,000 true fans that, like, no matter what you do, they're gonna do their best to show up for you. They're gonna do their best to support you or whatever.
Yeah. Right,
And that's
right,
really how
right.
you do it, is by selflessly serving, and then they just feel compelled to want to support because you supported them.
Yeah. So good. So
Mhm.
good. Love that.
Yeah, cool. Well, Adam, if someone wants to find you or the Business Club Academy or any one of your other organizations, where can they go? How do they find you? What's all the tags?
Yes. So it's at Adam IMob, IMob. If you just type in that anywhere on the internet, Adam IMob, IMob, then you will find me for sure. Adam IMob. My last name's Flores. So if you look that up, I'm on YouTube. That's my website. That's my Instagram.
Mhm.
Everything is there. And if you let me know that you're on this show, what I'll do is I'll give you a free PDF that I created called the Smart Business Formula. And it's 21 ways to grow your business past 100K per month. And it's a must-have guide to keep on your desk, to focus on, so you do the right activities to grow and scale.
Very
So if
cool.
you let me know you're on this show, I'll make sure I get you that PDF.
Yeah, I will definitely be getting that from you.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, and one thing I know about Adam for sure is he is all over the internet, like every social media probably. Like you can definitely find the guy. It's definitely something that I look up to, and I'm moving towards is just getting that online presence to such a high degree. So awesome. All right. Well, to recap this episode of the Ultimate Closer Show, we had the epic privilege to dig into some sales theories and philosophies, as well as actual strategies, tips, and methods. We really went esoteric and up there and all the way down to the ground. And it was really fun to go through all of that experience with Adam. And so more specifically, some of the things we went through is we went through sales as the highest form of love in business. That was such a powerful topic. I was really happy about that. We talked about how to win on every single sales call, what that actually looks like, what that means. We talked about the 3 levels of motivation to give you the drive to sell and succeed. This is obviously extremely important in sales, but just in like everything that you do. We then talked about setting yourself free from scarcity or the mindset of lack, and at least understanding that lack and abundance are intertwined, but that you always have to move your focus towards abundance. So that was super powerful. We talked about using objections to create trust, not tension. And then we talked about a variety of different closes and, of course, so many other things in between and around. And so, my friends, make sure that you smash that like button and hit subscribe so that I can continue to have awesome people like Adam here on the show, and so I can develop new series for your education and entertainment as well. But now, once again, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Oliver.